Hudson's. How did you first join the Hudsons?
Join is a funny word. I actually have a question for you, Rourke.
Please.
Is the level that I heard the piano in my headphones the same level that people are hearing it? Because it was so quiet.
You want me to turn it up?
I could barely hear it. I hope people could really hear what he was playing.
I'll crank it next time.
Please. I could barely hear it. And then when I played violin, I couldn't hear it at all. And
I need a little closer.
Could you hear it, Dan?
Yeah, I could hear, but I'm sitting right next to you, so.
Oh, okay. I want to hear his
Lean
piano.
a little closer, okay.
His piano.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Got you covered.
That's important.
Hudson.
Sorry.
How'd you end up there?
Okay, the Hudsons. Well, I was friends with Hudson Mueller since I was 6.
Mm-hmm.
He was my brother's friend at the Austin Montessori School. They were in 3rd grade when I was in 1st grade, and he came to my brother's 10th birthday party or something, and we made Olympics shirts, and that was the theme of the party, Olympics, and that's how I met Hudson. But then I guess I dated him when I was a senior in high school, and he was like a sophomore in college, and then that didn't really work out. But then when I went to college, he was playing every Thursday at Waterloo Ice House on 6th and Lamar in Austin, and I just started sitting in with him. And I guess I started sitting in with him before he was playing with Brian, but then we had our little like thing, and then we broke up, and then it was kind of like a year later I went back, and then he and Brian were playing, and I started going again, and then we started playing again, and then it kind of evolved. They called me the large band, kind of speaking of Lyle Lovett. They were like, they did a duo set, and then they'd be like, and now we're going to bring up the large band, and that was just bringing me up.
Sure.
And we did the second set, and then it just evolved into like 4 years of playing, and it really taught me how to harmonize vocally, and I loved their songwriting so much, and it kind of bridged the gap from being a classical violinist to trying alternate styles of violin. And around the 4th year of playing with them, I went to the Mark O'Connor Fiddle Camp, which was the first fiddle camp I had ever been to. I had been to like classical orchestra camps, which are a whole different kind of thing. They're all organized, and you sit in an orchestra and you play for a few hours, and then no one jams at night. They eat dinner and watch movies. But it's different than, I mean, not all orchestra camps watch movies, just saying. But a fiddle camp is, the Mark O'Connor one is where there's violin styles from all around the whole world. They brought the greatest Irish player and the greatest Texas swing player, the greatest jazz. Like, there's so much talented people that play music that love it, and there's so many different genres you can play on the fiddle that it just blew my mind. And I just kind of became obsessed with at least understanding what the fiddle world was. I had never heard Stefan Grappelli before that. I hadn't really heard, Johnny Gimbel, really. I met him at that camp and then started getting into Texas swing, and so that's about when the Belleville outfit came into my life. I was like, I love this swing stuff. And they were all into that too, and it was just this perfect timing thing. And I graduated from UT, and the Belleville outfit played my graduation party, and that was like one of our first gigs, and it was like on the road for 4 years. And then I've just kind of like, what do I want to do with my life? And I want to do things where I can have a little more freedom of time management. And I decided I just want to kind of walk this course and see what happens. And
you're talking about taking it out front yourself.
Yeah, I'm talking about like just
Sure.
transitioning it from like, what was that? What did that mean to me? And what does this mean to me? And why? And I think I just feel a little more freedom, both creatively and like.
Well, when you're playing with 5 other people and y'all have to follow each other's lead,
Right.
But now you're out front.
But it was an amazing journey too.
Sure.
So
You guys played all over the place when you were in that band.
Yeah, for sure.
Got to see the world.
Yeah.
You been to Europe and other places with Belleville outfit?
No, we never did that. But I've been there with myself. I went backpacking in college, and I just went on a trip to India last November just for a soul journey. And I went and worked at a school with these kids and brought a violin. And
that's the Amelia Foundation, correct?
Amala.
Amala?
The Amala Foundation.
And tell us about that trip to India.
I went with the Amala Foundation because my mom had kind of helped. She was really involved in the Amala Foundation for the past decade, and she kind of nudged me like, the Amala Foundation does a trip to India, because I was wanting to go to India, and that would be a safe way for me to go. And then I realized what they were doing, and really got pulled in by the heartstrings to what the message of what we were going over. It wasn't to evangelize or anything like that, but it is, the Amala Foundation has, I guess, funded a school that's made of village kids that would be on the streets begging, that come from a line of families who have never been educated at all. So convincing their parents that the kids should even be in school is one of the biggest tasks about this. And you go to the village, and there's 30 families living in a space smaller than the house we're in right now, but they're so happy living there. And we're not going to try to fix or change, but just like offer what would happen if you learned how to read and write. What would happen if you spent your days, instead of begging on the streets, to earn a penny so that you can have money so you could buy food for the night? What if you spent your time a different way? And we just kind of come and bring love. That's the whole purpose. Bring love and just an option. And for them to have Americans, which I guess any American to the caste system in India is a Brahmin. Any person that's from over here, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor in America, because I'm like have $0, but I went over there and they just think I'm just loaded, but I'm not. But to them, I represent a whole different freedom of form of life. I don't know exactly what I represent, but I know that going to this village where people of any higher classes in India would never even step into this village means a lot to them. Like, to them, it's almost like a sign from God, like that these people notice us, and it's you can just see the awakenings in the hearts and in the eyes of all these children, and I just was crying for about 10 days straight, just loving. And you might get lice in your hair because you're hugging these kids so much, and who cares? Yeah,
Are you gonna go back?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I want to go back.
Tell people about the Global Youth Peace Summit.
That is one of the other, I guess the Amala Foundation does 3 big things each year. And one of them is the India trip. One of them is 3 or 4. There's a lot of projects going on at the Amala Foundation. But the Global Youth Peace Summit has been one of the most globally accepted forms of what they've done. What they've created is a space for refugee children from all different countries who are kind of in abusive families and in rough situations. I met a couple of them that have now been in Austin for a while. Anyway, the Amala Foundation offers a space and time for them to transition into America. So it's like, welcome to America. It's 10 days of talking about love and we are one, and lots of these kids are really sheltered. Like, I mean, not sheltered from
culture shock.
Well, culture shock, but I mean, they've been in situations that were so unsafe for them that they're like in their shell. If that makes sense. Totally closed. Like,
good, wholesome
barely will look at you in the eye. Right. Like, so timid. Like, are you going to beat me? Are you cool? Are you safe? And it's just creating a safe spot that says, yeah, where I'm going to look at you in the eye. I want to, like, hug you. I want to love you. And what's going on in you? Like, how do you feel right now? And, whoa, that can just really erupt into, like, just massive amounts of openings and hearts blossoming. And I have never been to the Global Youth Peace Summit.
So this summer will be your first time.
But I volunteered as a counselor. Because I went to they know me at Amala, so they know I'll be a cool counselor. And so I'm excited to go and hang out with these kids for 10 days in August. So anyone's welcome to come and participate, and check it out on the Amala Foundation website.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Phoebe Hunt, live in the KPFT studio.